Okay, so let's talk about solving and graphing one-step inequalities. All right, so we have x plus 25 is greater than or equal to 18. The only thing that we need to do to get x by itself is to get rid of this positive 25. What's the opposite of positive 25? Well, negative 25 or subtracting 25. A positive and a negative of the same number cancel out to equal 0 because on the number line, if negative 25 is here and positive 25 is here, they meet at 0 when you put them together. So x not equals, oh my goodness, I'm still on equations. X is greater than or equal to, and what's 18 minus 25? Well, if you think about it, we keep the sign of the larger number, so it's negative. And then we subtract 25 minus 18 is 7. Okay, so we need to graph this now. X has to be greater than or equal to negative 7. So let's find our negative 7 on the number line. Well, if this is negative 4 and this is negative 8, what would the line be between? That would be negative 6 right here at that line. So negative 7 comes between negative 6 and negative 8. Remember, it's kind of going backwards on the negative side, so keep that in mind. I closed my circle because there is an equal to symbol. Could negative 7 be greater than or equal to negative 7? Yes, it could be equal to negative 7. So that's why I closed it, to show that it could still work. Okay, so let's look at this one. Now, it has to be greater than or equal to. If I go to the left, I'm getting smaller, smaller, smaller. So I have to go to the right. So I'm gonna make my line from my closed circle to go to the right. Let's try the second one. Remember, a number, or there's no number in front of the variable, that means it's like a 1. So all I have to do here, if I'm multiplying, because a negative 1 times x, I'm going to divide by a negative 1. Look at how tricky that was, but also it makes complete sense because negative 1 divided by negative 1 is a positive 1x. So x over here, and then 23 divided by negative 1 is negative 23. Now, keep in mind we're dividing by a negative, so my sign has to flip. So instead of being greater than or equal to, it's going to be less than or equal to. I hope you caught that. That's one of those rules you gotta remember. So let's find negative 23. Well, here's negative 22 and here's negative 24. So negative 23 is here and I'm gonna close it because it's equal to negative 23 could be equal to negative 23. Now, less than negative 23. So that means I gotta go to the left. I gotta find less than numbers. Remember, it's opposite on the negative side. So even though the numbers are getting bigger because it's on the negative side, they're really getting smaller. Okay, now let's look at number 3. You're gonna have to do the reciprocal. So we're gonna multiply by a negative 5/4. And remember, we're multiplying by a negative because a negative times a negative would be positive to get x as a positive 1x. 5 times 4 is 20, 4 times 5 is 20, 20 over 20 equals 1 whole. So x is positive and by itself. This side, I'm multiplying by a negative 5/4. And remember, all whole numbers have that imaginary 1 underneath them. It's a negative times a negative, so it's a positive. 8 times 5 is 40, and 1 times 4 is 4. So what is 40 over 4? Well, hopefully you got 10. Now, we multiplied by a negative, so our symbol needs to flip, and instead of being greater than, it is going to be less than. So x has to be less than 10. That means my circle is going to stay open at 10. Remember, 10 comes between 8 and 12. 8, 10, 12. And x has to be smaller than 10. So I need to go to the left. Remember, we don't know what it is. It could be negative 55. So I'm going to put my arrow at the end to show that it's going to keep going. All right, go ahead and do your reflection and keep going on your work.